Again, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the June 2023 Personnel and Finance Committee meeting. We are in open session, and we'll continue with the agenda, starting with Section 5 of the agenda, the vouchers.
We have to approve the one item closed. Don't we have to affirm what we did with the employer classification?
I didn't think that anything was taken.
No.
Nothing was happening.
I just remember when we did the other ones, we keep it in open session. And then...
I don't see anything.
Yeah. And just for clarification, Alderman McKeeler was questioning if anything from the closed session meeting needed to be brought up and had action taken at open session, and legal opinion at this point is no. So we're going to move on to the voucher, Section 5.
Motion approved.
I'll second that.
Questions or discussion on the vouchers? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those are approved to be forwarded for the next common council meeting. Minutes from our previous meeting, which was our May 23rd meeting.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes from the 23rd meeting.
Second.
Questions or discussion on the May 23rd, 2023 P&F meeting? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the meeting minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those are approved to be forwarded for the next council meeting. Section 7, agenda items for consideration. Subpoint 1, to discuss internal fraud controls or related matters for our auditors.
Alderman Russell, if I could, I was asked to look into it, just what is done. Since I came here, I've been very impressed by how busy the ladies in the clerk's office are reconciling invoices to cash payment, but I really know how this all works. I had a long conversation with Brenda today, and there are more checks and balances in there. I can't imagine. Seriously, it's quite impressive. The cross-checking of one another's work that goes on. While I was preparing for this, and seriously, I want to be done in 60 seconds. But here's what the result of an audit, let's just call it from a neighboring county, showed at one point. During our review of a certain department's cash controls, we noted the administrative officers responsible for preparing invoices, collecting payments on those invoices, processing deposits for the treasurer's office, updating detailed accounting records, and delivering cash to the treasurer's office. The combination of these financial responsibilities for one person without compensating controls results in a significant weakness in internal controls. Basically, it's checks and balances with people, cross-checking work, not that we're looking for crooks among us, but to make sure that they are accurate. Accuracy, of course, means accuracy in what is being deposited. I mean this seriously when they used to take ticket money, or citation money at the police department, when I first came here, to how that has changed. Virtually no money is unaccounted for, and that's because, as I wonder now, I occasionally take the deposits to the bank. The cross-checks, one thing that was added last year, and the mayor and I know this very well, you take the deposits to the bank. When I bring those deposit slips back, I have to initial each one of them and date it as well. So if Brenda thought we were depositing $1,100 and now 1,000 even shows up, they know exactly who carried that bag last.
Mm-hmm.
At first, when I started doing this, I think, well, this is hokey. But it actually makes quite a bit of sense. And not that we carry a lot of cash here, we don't. But and I think in all the departments, even what goes on with the accounting in Brad's department, the transit department, the cash that goes in there with people, it is all accounted for. And honestly, it would be extremely difficult. Someone would have to be extremely crafty to get more than if you were buy a 12-pack of pop out of the place. And that's a great credit to the people that work here and the people who are doing our auditing and Kathy and the controls she's put in there. It's just plain and simple. Things take time. our staff here is willing to take the time to do it. And I see no problem. I'm happy to go through some of this stuff if you want to, but it's basically segregation of duties, cross-checking one another. The person that prepares the invoice doesn't take the payment and doesn't make the deposit. You know, when I started working in Marshfield for the Zappin law firm downtown, every Thursday afternoon, that Zappin, the senior guy, would sit in his office with this huge old calculator with a big handle on it and everything. He would be reconciling our That's not our money, that's the client's money. And I remember that thing was off 15 cents because we misprinted a check. Nobody went home until that was done. Nobody went anywhere until that was done. And I think what we've got here is frankly similar to that. I'm extremely impressed with the way we do business, plain and simple. If that's not the type of report you're looking for, I'm happy to give you something else, but I made a little survey around here and I'm pleased. Matter of fact, some people ought to take over running my own personal finances, I think, but that's all right. Still have 800 numbers to call the bank and see if you got any money.
The auditor, the reason this is on the agenda is the auditors approached me that they wanted just, that we discuss it, that it was on
But
our.
I'm serious, it's a very, very enlightening conversation with Brenda. It's quite impressive.
I guess the one thing I can add in an open session is just to let you some idea of why. If you went to the utility office and you wanted to pay your utility bill in cash, they do not accept cash. And the reason that is occurring is because Angie has administrative rights over the utility billing system. And so you can't have them collecting cash because it would be, well, something happened, somebody said, I paid cash and then the bill still came out or they did, those are the kind of decisions that we make behind the scenes. The other place was a lot of cash being handled, obviously, is the aquatic center, and they have very significant controls managing what's going in terms of having matching automated systems with the cash that comes in. And we have segregation of duties, and certain things I do. I think in 20 years I've moved money once, cash, because I do journal entries to the general ledger for cash. I'm the only one who can do that. We had a medical issue and we needed to transfer money. That's the one and only time in 20 years that I actually had to do that myself. And we have the credit card information, an assumption that that's easy. It's not. We reconcile that, balance it. We're using for the utility billing that goes through the utility software, and all of this information ties together and is balanced as it posts.
Questions or discussion on this agenda item? Hearing none, we'll move on to the sub-agenda item number 2 under that section, which is to review and discuss the 2024 budget timeframes and criteria.
This is a beginning draft for you to take a look at. Next month we'll bring ambulance and library budgets to you because they goes to Lincoln County. I provided some schedules, delivery schedules for you to take a look at. I'm assuming you want to do shorter cows rather than all the budget, but I need input on that.
Comments?
Probably better for you.
Yeah. The committee members good with that? Okay.
Okay, I did add a page late last week on the state shared revenue status. For 2024, we'll be picking up almost $700,000 of increased state shared revenue. There are still lots of unknowns. I have not seen any summary information coming from the League of Wisconsin Municipalities or the Wisconsin Department of Revenue. The bigger item is what happens for future years. I don't know for 2025 on the information that has been seen whether we're going to get another $10,000 on top of the $686,000, or if we're going to get $100,000 for 2025. That information has not been sent. There's also a pending in the state, well, maybe it's in the shared revenue bill, personal property it being eliminated. I don't think that that's gonna phase in until,
2024, I got an email this afternoon that he signed it.
yeah, but I don't think you can do that for 2024 because we already had a board review and did personal property assessments.
Is that a huge dollar amount for us, Kathy?
Yeah, it's a couple, $200,000. But I mean, part of it, I would think that personal property, let's say if you have a T hangar at the airport, that's your building on leased land, you can't eliminate that from personal property, because that's done personal property, so it's got to, somehow it has to continue. Because otherwise, your building that you own is taxed, but if I have a leased land, then I'm not taxed, so uniformity comes into there. So there's more information that happens on personal property. One of the critical things we need to backfill or basically adjust to deal with that fact we're not going to have ARPA for 2024 other than the revaluation. Basically, how we're doing on this. We have some good revenue sources in terms of interest income, so that's a real positive there. I'm waiting for confirmation on health insurance, and I would say that what you want to do for 2024 is use some of the money of the $700,000 to backfill on capital that you would have normally used borrowing or tax levy dollars, and so that you have some cash flow for 2025 and future years. This is just a preliminary thing. We need more information at this point. But
Questions, discussion for the finance director's handout and comments?
I guess I just have one comment on the tentative time frame. I think it might be advantageous for us, I don't know if it's through P&F or through Cal or how to handle it, but to sit down with Ehlers before it's actual borrowing time at the end of the year, to sit down with them ahead of time and say, what position are we logistically in as far as borrowing and planning for budgeting purposes when it comes to the TIDS for 2024. I think that would be something that might be helpful to you.
well, tentatively, Ryan Riley is scheduled to be here at your cow on July 11th to talk about borrowing.
Okay.
And then he will be coming probably to several meetings in August related to the TIF fiscal conditions. Once we have the critical, Wisconsin Department of Revenue on August 1st comes out with preliminary TIF equalized values or equalized values. So that's kind of a trigger. So we want to start the process for borrowing in July. We're probably going to do state trust fund loans rather than going out to the market at this point in time.
Can he also go focus on some of our, you know, what is wise strategy for our TIDS moving forward? What, you know, what is a wise way for us to be looking at that expenditure?
That will be not at the cow on the 11th, but that will be in August in terms of where we're at. I've asked them to look at all options in terms of where we're at fiscal status, which include potential of keeping TID 3 open one more year so that the general fund advance can be repaid back in a very significant manner. So he's looking at that, and that will be provided.
Should help our borrowing this year too. Our project should be done by third week of August, where we know where we're at as far as infrastructure.
Okay. Further questions or discussion on this agenda item? Hearing none, then we'll go to section 8, monthly reports. And I'll ask the committee members to go ahead and ask any questions of any of the monthly reports, which are submitted to this committee by Mayor Haas, the finance director, city attorney, city clerk, and municipal court.
Mayor, why are you not using the new letterhead?
Ouch.
have to pay for it.
Saving money, right?
I'm using up the paper before I get here.
Anything, Gus?
I have no more.
Are we just doing individual reports or, yeah?
Oh.
I have no questions on any reports other than another comment for Lori and the clerk's report for the machines. What are we looking at having to replace the machines? Gus has, or Mayor has lots of paper.
Wondering.
Well, the ADA machines that we currently have are obsolete. And so I will be getting information tomorrow and it will be on the COW agenda. And I will provide you with numbers because I requested that specifically from County Clerk Marlowe. I said I need actual dollar amounts, not estimates. Actual. So I'll have that on Tuesday, on the 11th.
And the paper. So we can compare.
Yep.
Anything further?
No. Anyone else have anything
Well,
to say?
Date and time of our next meeting scheduled for Tuesday, July 25th at the same time, same location. Does that work for the committee members? Yes. Entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for your time this evening.